Good evening. We've had several very interesting sessions, and as we uh, wind down this conclave, we have this session with some of the biggest stars of the Indian entertainment industry. So thank you, Prakash. Thank you, Shruthi, and thank you, Vijay, for being here today. So let me start with a question about the film industry. So the Kannada film industry and the film industry that's homegrown, Bangalore centered, has a history of about 90 years, 9 decades, because the first film was made in 1934, Sati Sulochana. And so in 9 decades, we've been active, we've produced films, a huge variety of films. But suddenly in 2022, we've had these 3 big hits, Kantara, KGF 2, and Charlie 777. And then all of India is looking at us today in 2022. What are we doing right today? And what is it that we were doing wrong all these years? So my questions are to Prakash.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Now, I don't know if you're looking at what are we doing right in the context of KGF and Kantara and things doing well. I don't think they represent what Kannada cinema is. We're talking about numbers and we're talking about... I'm not sure if content was the king in it represented Karnataka. No, there's something which is happening after the pandemic. There were big successes, so let us not stick by those yards. Kannada cinema, it started, it has a long history, but then we were all based in Tamil Nadu. That was the Kasi of cinema. And then the way it shifted, then we had our films like Puttana Kanagal, Dore Bhagwan, or Shankar Nag came in, or Girish Kasarvallis and things like that. But all through the process of Kannada cinema, I think there was a lot of empowerment was not there as the art form as it is, unless you see here and there films. So what we were doing right, what we were doing wrong, because we had Karnataka had a very rich cultural background, whether it was theatre, whether it was music, whether it was folklore. But cinema here and there, some few good films. But then I think, if you ask me personally, we've really not made very strong films or something to be very boast about. They were popular films, successful films, yes. But now since you're talking in the context of 2022 and 3 big hits, don't get carried away. Like the stand-up comedian was saying, that we sell weather well today. Actually, the weather is not good, isn't it? So today, I think there's a lot of, I think you have your next question where I'll talk more deeply into it. We need to look at the ecosystem, and today, cinema as an art is very important, like a lot of other forms, and we need to find what we have to do right. And I'm very sure as far as cinema is concerned, I may make few people not agree with me, but let's be honest, through the years we have not been very right as far as cinema is concerned, except few filmmakers or few films, which were just here and there, and we just brag about it. But otherwise, on the whole, majority of the films, in creating an ecosystem in Karnataka, cultural ecosystem, to represent, I don't think we have not been right much through the decades. It's time now, because it is the need of the hour to, look into it. Yeah.
Right. So, Shruti, my question is to you. Prakash has been active in theatre, and you have been active in theatre. And then there are many, many art forms, theatre and then dance and music, which thrive in Bangalore, which do well in Bangalore. There are audiences all across Bangalore for all kinds of music, all kinds of theatre. Now, when we talk of, say, success, box office success, and then, I was just looking at the numbers for 2019, and then we had 2 pandemic years. So they were lean years, and then things are picking up again. So if you look at 2019, for example, Hindi made the largest number of films. They had 495 films. And then Kannada was second only to Hindi. You know, Kannada, the number of films certified in 2019 was 336. So that's almost one film a day, you know. So one is there is this huge volume that's coming out, and then there are sensitive films like the ones that you acted in, Nati Charami, for example, you know, which does not really aim to be a blockbuster, you know, but which it talks about something very sensitive, a young widow's sexual desire, for example. So there are two kinds of films, right? And you've been associated with films that are ambitious in terms of what they explore, right? So how do we look at this whole situation, and how do we nurture art that does not look at look at box office success as the ultimate marker of, you know, quality? You know?
Okay. Yeah, so you rounded that well. Okay, so first of all, good evening, everybody. As you yourself, I think, answered your question in a way, sir. What is our focus on? Is it the quantity or the quality of the films we make? So for now, since this first part of this question is purely about cinema, or rather films, let's talk about just films. As you gave the statistics, 2019, the number of films that were produced up north or in Hindi were much more than that in down south. But I think I've constantly maintained that cinema as a medium has a huge power. And with that power comes okay. And with that power comes a huge sense of responsibility. So I'm coming back to what Prakash sir initially mentioned about the quality, about content, and how important it is to say what you need to say in the best manner possible, and at the same time entertain a large amount of audience. So when are we going to hit huge numbers is when we have actually, is it the formula? I'm not sure anymore, because the avenues to sell cinema has moved beyond just theaters. It's OTTs, digital platforms. It has exploded, especially post-pandemic. So I think it's not just a formula of you know, one fight sequence and a very pretty-looking heroine wearing the best of clothes and a machoistic hero. Is it just that, or is it more? Or can we achieve more in order to say something that is important to make our society a better society today?
Right.
I think that should be our focus, and that's where we will improve on our quality.
Right, so we can talk about what we can do as audiences, as artists, to make that happen. So my next question is to Vijay. You've been associated with Kantara, in, this hit film that's a sensation across India. And you are, in the sense, you are in one sense one of our most versatile artists. You sing Carnatic music and you sing film music. And then how do you look at this? How did you become pan-India? Let me ask you this question first.
Art is pan-India. So I'm just lucky as an artist. But Carnatic music is what I was born in a family of musicians. Sorry, eldrigu namaskara, kshamse. Nera uttarak hode. I was born in a family of musicians, Carnatic musicians, and my upbringing was very strong, orthodox, Carnatic environment. But I think around 15, 16 is when I started doing NCC camps. And that's when I started traveling all over India, and I was like, I was really amazed to see there are so many different forms of music, because in those camps, I used to see people coming from different parts of India and singing in so many languages, in so many styles. And I think that kind of, on the curiosity, ಇಷ್ಟು ಪ್ರಪಂಚ ಇಷ್ಟು ದೊಡ್ಡದಾಗಿದೆ, ಇಷ್ಟು ಬಗೆಯ ಸಂಗೀತದ ಎಷ್ಟು ವೈವಿಧ್ಯತೆ ಇದೆ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಅಂತ. So I started exploring that, and then yes, I'm born and raised in Mysore till the age of 20. Then I traveled to Mumbai, and I was lucky to find a guru who could train me in so many different genres of music. So I always feel voice is just an instrument that can play any music. It's how you adapt yourself to different genres that you want to connect people with. And yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, that brings us to the question. You traveled to Mumbai and then you came to be known across India because you sang in Hindi films. And is it necessary for a singer like, say, Vijay Prakash to do Hindi to be known across India? Or can you do, say, songs in a language other than Hindi and still be known across India? Is that a possibility? Because, I mean, there are various things come into the picture.
I think the times are changing. For example, Singara Siriya that I've sung in Kantara is, people in Kolkata are listening to the Kannada version, people in Maharashtra are listening to the Kannada version. Things are changing, but also it's true that when you sing in a Hindi cinema, the reach is larger because the amount of people that listen to Hindi songs, ಡೆಮೋಗ್ರಫಿ ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಜನ ಇರಬಹುದು. ಬಟ್ ಹಾಗಂತ ಅದು ಹಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಮಾತ್ರನೇ ನಿಮಗೆ ಒಂದು ಮನ್ನಣೆ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತಿಲ್ಲ. ಇವತ್ತಿನ ದಿನ ಎಲ್ಲ ಭಾಷೆಗಳಿಗೂ ಒಳ್ಳೆ ರೀಚ್ ಇದೆ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಟಾಕಿಂಗ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ಕರೆಂಟ್ ಸಿನಾರಿಯೋ, ಆಸ್ ಯು ಸೆಡ್, ಕನ್ನಡ ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಈಸ್ ಡೂಯಿಂಗ್ ಸೋ ವೆಲ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಪೀಪಲ್ ಆರ್ ಲಿಸನಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಕನ್ನಡ ಮ್ಯೂಸಿಕ್ across India, or I can say music lovers across the planet. So you don't have to think in that direction anymore. Thanks to the current generation, which is willing to listen to all kinds of music, irrespective of which language it is in.
Yeah. So, could we hear two lines from the song? I think this is a hit song that's heard across India, and it would be great
Singara Siriye Angalinale Bangarageva Maye Gandhariyante ಕಣ್ಮುಚ್ಚಿ ಹೊಂಗನ ಸರಸೋ ಛಾಯೆ ಮಂದಾಸ ನಲುಮೆಯ ಶ್ರಾವಣ ಮಾಸ. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Can I just get into this? This is very interesting because there is a metaphor in what you are saying. See, we're talking about music. Or Vijay Prakash or Prakash Raj or Shruthi performing in a lot of places. That's because of his voice. That somebody becoming pan-Indian performer is not a big thing. Now, whether it is music, whether it is cinema, whether it is any language, it is just a tool. What we need to understand is what is it delivering, what is it pregnant with.
Right.
Like when you come back, in the music setup of Karnataka, we had Bhavagitagalu.
Yeah.
So when K.S. Narasimha Swami wrote, or Adiga wrote, or Bendre wrote, there was Mysooranand Swami and others, where they did not change the lyric, but they took the music out of that content.
Yeah, true.
Those lines were pregnant of a thought, pregnant of something to say, and it was relevance. We just do sound, or we just do films, we just spend money. But the point is, as a Kannada cinema, are we pregnant enough? Because once you're pregnant, once you're delivering something from where you stand from, that becomes pan-Indian because that is that is universal bhava, no?
Yeah, true.
See, that richness is what we are missing.
Yes, I mean,
That richness is what we are missing today.
Right, right.
And
I mean, very,
that
very valid
empowerment,
point,
that enriching self and having relevance in what we are trying to do in different ways. But there is another generation which is coming up. And today, why I am questioning cinema is now there is a space because cinema was a language. It was just a tool. Now, there was mafias everywhere, when it started as a language. It is the newest language, I would say, a century-old language, cinema is. So they made studios and they said people have to go through only that through CFL. Then it was theaters, then it was exhibitors. That was another mafia where people were supposed to go through that only. Now when the television came, they were afraid. They made rules, You can't across the mafia, so you release after a year, after 100 days after the release, we are worried we will not.
Yeah.
But once the COVID came and where everybody the whole mafia had to keep quiet, they had nothing else to do, The relationship between the creator and an audience, the middlemen went. So people started seeing content.
So
Content at their time, at their space, it went to their doorstep. Now people are watching content.
Okay.
And now this is somewhere for us to change now. Because content is coming. So your success mantras of big films we're just marketing it. That's not true. So we'll have to look into, are we pregnant enough? Is there something else? Is there something
Absolutely. I mean,
enrichness? So that is where you need to invest time.
Yes, I mean, there's definitely a case for more meaningful cinema. And for example, there's a Wong Kar-wai who's making Hong Kong films, and to the credit of the Kannada film industry, K.S. Narasimha Swamy's Mysore Mallige actually inspired a film. A film was scripted around the songs that K.S. Narasimha Swamy wrote, and then it happens, but then maybe not on the scale that's desirable, right? So my question again is, since all of you have exposure to languages, many languages, and Mumbai is today India's biggest producer, entertainment hub in terms of volume and scale and the infrastructure they have. And then there's Hyderabad, which comes second, Telugu-speaking states doing it there. And then Tamil, and then we are maybe the fourth. What can we do to leapfrog and maybe become bigger? And
Again, the examples you're seeing is commercial and number of films. I think we need writing for cinema like how Malayalis write, the Malayalam industry. The way they have empowered and such rich writing.
Right.
Because again, what are we pregnant with? What are we telling? What are we delivering? What are the genre films? Film is just user technique, but then look at the importance for writing, which is important. The scripts. So that is where you need to focus.
right,
You can spend money, you can have big sets, you can make more number of films, and you'll only be lost in seeing who's made more films. Why is Telugu industry big? Because they're so hollow.
right.
That is not important. You have to enrich somewhere there. The writing has to come up.
Yeah.
The writing can come
So
up.
there's no point in trying to be the biggest in terms of.
You'll only get
you're
tired.
saying,
You'll only get tired.
okay.
Big, bigger. You'll only get tired.
Yeah.
A big star, like Bahubali you make, and KGF 2 will make. And Yash and Prabhas have to think, what is the next bigger film I'll do?
Yeah.
I hit 30 people here, I have to hit 40 people. You'll only get tired.
Right. So I mean, look for more meaningful
No,
scripts.
you have to go
better
back.
Scripts.
You have to, as an audience, because now don't underestimate the audience, because you have not given them. Now they are seeing content, accept it. You unlearn yourself, reinvent yourself, be relevant now.
Right.
Because otherwise you are going to continue to lose, because you are part of the mafia. COVID and this has hit the mafia. You'll only get tired. You will perish anyway. So until and unless now you relocate, rethink. Like if you come to me, I was an actor of commercial cinemas. Now when I'm looking into web series where I'm working, I did one called Mukbir and I'm doing few Malayalam films. I'm reinventing myself, unlearning as an actor because the demands are different.
Right.
The genres, I used to be around 2,000 feet in cinema language or 20 minutes in a big film, a villain or a character, that's it.
Right.
And see, look at how cinema was, the whole world cinema it was. You have a beginning, you have an interval, you have a climax bang, interval bang and a climax.
Yeah.
So whole thinking process to make a film in 2.5 years, intrigue karo, interval bang karo. But now you can make a story for 14 episodes.
Right.
28 episodes. So now people are interested in more stories. A woman who works as a maid in the house, you can go into her story. You can go into so many stories. Itna kahaniyan aa rahe hain.
Right. So
And people
OTT
have the
is
patience.
making
They
this
will
difference,
see it
right?
at their
I mean,
time.
this change was ushered in
So
by.
there is something happening. Now again, there we are bringing in again this commercial. You're making loud films. You're making bold, dark scripts. Again, you're trying to still titillate people. But there is a space now. There is a space now. And wait, it will come because content is going to be the king. It has to be. You have to be relevant.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I think I agree with Sir because I think what Sir is trying to say is that there's an opportunity, Alva Sir.
No, there is a truth which is open. Yes. If you're not going to learn, you will perish. The younger generation will come. The next generation are ready. Perfect.
Right.
Now these so-called mafias are not letting it go.
Yeah.
It's taking time to leave or for them to unlearn. If they don't, they'll be pushed away. And I see a brilliant young crop of new filmmakers. And I am telling you with my experience, me being in this industry for 40 years, I have realized that I have to relearn, unlearn myself, readapt myself to become, then I'm trying to get into their psyches. Otherwise, I will not be an actor anymore. I'll be just calling Prakash Raj, 4 decades, 5 national awards. He was a great actor. They'll call me to inaugurate.
Yeah.
They'll call me to, give respect. But if I have to be in the system.
Right, absolutely. I mean,
Yeah,
what you're saying
that is something,
basically-
and we need to learn that, and we need to promote that. We need to empower that.
Right. So, opulence is not everything, is the first point that you're making. And then...
It is a drug. You're just pushing it under the
Yeah,
carpet.
I think, for example, RRR and Bahubali, these were huge in scale, and...
Let them be huge. That's okay. They are there. But don't put that as a parameter.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's not something, don't sell it.
Yes.
It happens once
So
in a
what can we do to make the writing better? I mean, if we could start with Shruthi. I mean, how can writing, how can we make our cinema, how can we make our entertainment, for example? One point Prakash is emphasizing over and over again is relevance. And how do we make our cinema relevant? How do we make our theater relevant? How do we make our music relevant? What do we mean by relevance?
I think it's important to find honesty in what you do, especially your art. If you're not going to find the truth in it, which is what I think Sir was trying to say, that ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಅದು ಏನು ಹೇಳಕ್ಕೆ ಟ್ರೈ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದೆ ಅದರದ್ದು ಎಸೆನ್ಸ್ ಏನು. And if you're able to fully and wholly understand that, first of all, it's a self journey. As an artist, you have probably crossed the first threshold into a whole new realm of art. And secondly, you're also trying to create something which is relevant. And your question to what is relevance, I think, I'm sure Sir will correct me. Heli, sir.
Relevance, you should understand what relevance is. Now, let me give there's an education system, okay? I come from the 60s. 82, I see the first television. 94, I see computer. Then I see cell phone. I keep adapting. But my education system did not reimagine the future.
Right.
So in 80s, when I was in school, coming into college, I never knew I would become a radio jockey.
Okay.
I could be a television anchor. So if I did, few of us, because I was very enriched because of the theater or literature, but I see most of my generation became irrelevant 10 years later.
Right.
See, your job, your presence, or whatever it is not your identity, it is your relevance.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
See, that is what I'm saying.
Yeah. So how do we encourage better, more relevant writing, for example? Is there a way forward? And the question when it comes to music is, how do you define relevance in music? It's a very difficult proposition to say that one kind of music is relevant and one kind of music is not.
I think when it comes to entertainment, to be very honest, there's nothing called relevance. Means when we go to watch a movie or when we listen to any kind of music, are we really looking at, oh, this is the current affairs, the world is like this now? Is the movie anyway connected to what we are seeing? It's not that. For example, Kantara, since we are talking about Kantara or KGF, we have to accept that it's a huge hit. People liked it and they went and saw it. ಯಾವ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರೀಕನ್ಸೀವ್ಡ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಸಮಾಜ ಹೀಗಿದೆ ಚಿತ್ರ ಹೀಗಿರತ್ತಾ ಅಂತ ಹೋಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಕಾಂತಾರಕ್ಕೂ ಇವತ್ತಿನ ಸಮಾಜಕ್ಕೂ ನನಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಯಾವ್ದಾದ್ರು ಒಂದು ಲಿಂಕ್ ಇದೆಯಾ ಅಂತ. ಬಟ್ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಎ ಹ್ಯೂಜ್ ಹಿಟ್. ಸೊ ಪ್ರಾಬಬ್ಲಿ ವಾಟ್ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಇಸ್ ಆಡಿಯನ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನೋನು ಒಂದು ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಅನುಭವಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಹೋಗ್ತಾನೆ. ಅವನಿಗೆ ರಿಲೆವೆನ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಅಷ್ಟು ಸೀರಿಯಸ್ ಆಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಇರೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ಕೋತೀನಿ. ಯಾಕೆಂದರೆ ಮ್ಯೂಸಿಕ್ ಕೂಡ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಈಗ ನಾವು ಟಾಕಿಂಗ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ಕಾಂತಾರ ಆಲ್ಬಮ್, how do you define, oh, it's relevant to today's time? There's nothing like that. So, of course, audience, they keep updating themselves with all kind of genres that they are exposed to. But there's, long ago I was working in a studio called Mehboob in Mumbai. A very experienced sound engineer called Tagorda. Just the line that he said got so strongly imprinted in my mind. He said, this was around, I think, early 2000. So generally everybody was everyone was talking about how Kishore Da used to sing, how Rafi Saab used to sing, and how the current generation is recording and all that. So he said one beautiful line. He said, it used to be art-oriented business. Now it's business-oriented art. So it was, I think, purely out of experience, he said something like that. And that actually made such a huge impact on my thinking that whenever it is business-oriented art, I think the chances of failing is more. But if it is art-oriented business, of course, we have to admit it's a business. It's a world of business. The
Eventually,
commercials
yes, and
involved.
then, yeah, you have to strike a
But
balance.
your, as Shruti said, honesty plays a huge role right from the starting point. Everybody wants to make a good movie. Nobody wants to make a bad movie.
Yeah.
Everyone starts, and everybody, of course, dreams of making a big movie with big commercial success. But if it is this commercial success is your starting
Should not
point.
be equated with.
Similarly, music. I can talk about Kantara's music and I can quote Ajanish Loknath, how hard he's worked on the album, how much of detailing has gone into producing that song. If you listen to Singara Siriye, if you just slice it up into information, there is something in every note that is so appealing, that is so pleasing. So, going back to what Shruti said, honesty has to be your starting point and any point.
To step back a little, for example, you're as comfortable with Jai Ho as with Jagadananda Karaka, Tyagaraja and Rahman. And, but your work with Rahman is probably better known than your work on the classical music stage. So how do we nurture things that are perhaps, timeless, precious, and that don't have this kind of mass appeal? What do we need to do?
I think we just have to continue doing irrespective of what the reach it has. Like, of course, if you sing for Rahman sir, it is bound to reach more number of people as opposed to doing one Devarnama, which you upload it on YouTube. But we have to remember, even that 10 views that you get on YouTube for a Devarnama is as precious as the 20 million hits that you get on for another commercial job. Because you as an artist, you're trying to reach all segments of society. You're just being true to your art without defining this is success, this has 20 million hits, this has 20 hits. I have songs on YouTube which probably has, probably less than 100K, but beautiful comments. They are so honest about what they're saying, as opposed to there could be some 20 million hits, but you go through the comments, they're talking something else, nothing to do with what you've uploaded, right? So, what it does to you as an artist. So you have to disconnect from the commercial success that every job gets and be true to your art and just continue to do what you do honestly. Honesty, what she said is the only way to move forward for artists. But of course, people who do business out of it, of course, they have their own compulsions, and I respect that.
So I think this panel is predominantly artists, but Prakash has an interest in politics. So let's ask him, like Vijay Prakash said and like Shruti said, we need to go out, and you were again emphasizing how we need to get better writing, get better stuff happening. What do you do? I mean, let's assume you become the culture minister. What is it that you would do to make this happen?
I'll just tell you an image I saw the other day. Krupakar Senani has brought in a book on Kuempu versus camera. Bada adbhutavad pustakadu. I saw a photograph wherein B.V. Karanth has done a play called Kindrajogi. And B.V. Karanth finishes the show, and Kuempu is quite old, he can't leave the house. So they have gone to show him what the performance is and sing the song. Now in one picture, I see the richness of Karnataka. Wherein Girish Karnad, B.V. Karanth, Lankesh, and a play is happening. Or Ghatashtra, the writer, and a novel. See, first what you have to create an ambience wherein I think you will have to bring in theatre, art into the curriculum of schools. See, how does that richness in expression? I'm saying cinema is just a tool, it is expressing, but it is expressing the people, their dreams, their perceptions, their intelligence. One is curriculum. Art has to come in, because I did this experiment when I was empowering 6 government schools in Karnataka 2 years back before this government came in, wherein I just got theatre activists and theatre specialists, I paid them a monthly salary and I put them 3 months into 6 schools, individual schools. In a matter of 3 months, all the 6 schools did a play. I requested the school to give 1 hour of theatre education.
Okay.
And I had a show in Mandya. What happened was they were performing. Their learning became better.
Right.
Their communications became better. They started loving the schools. Our Ucharane, the Kannada, Ganita Udodirli. See, this is what theatre does. This is what art does. So literature. So this is first is school level. Plus, I think we need lot of incubators and spaces in across Karnataka, which was there. It is not now, because now the governments or their ideologies, they want to do it, but we need more spaces. Like when I come from Kalakshetra. In Vayanga days, a new book written by Devanur Mahadeva, we used to wait as if it's a big film release, you know.
Right.
What would he write next?
Right.
Or Tejasvi is going to, what is the next week Tejasvi is going to write in Lankesh?
Yeah.
Lankesh started a Lankesh Patrika, which became a platform for many young writers, poets to come, express, talk.
Right.
So we need to have a lot of cultural spaces.
Yeah.
We need
And
to
which
understand.
brings us to
And
the-
we, until and unless any artist or any creator in cinema is just not just knowing the craft of cinema.
Yeah.
It is to enrich those who are making the next generation. It could be theatre, it could be literature, it could be in school, it could be in colleges, it could be competitions.
And
If
do
you are
you-
going to empower and create an ambience,
And do you
probably
see that
in 10 years
potential
you'll
in
have the
Bangalore?
best writing in Kannada.
Sorry to interrupt you, but do you see that potential in Bangalore looking forward as we march towards 2040? What do you see down the line, down the road?
What do you see?
Yeah.
Now we have to see, will we survive first with the sort of ecosystem of this country.
Yeah.
Today we are not talking about theatre or art in a curriculum of school. We are talking about coloring walls of schools for a particular ideology. That is not what
Yes.
we need, right?
And you've been
We need to understand that. What I'm
Yeah.
saying is you need to be serious about it.
Yeah.
You need to be sensitive about it, because you have to prepare the ground like the humus of the earth. Don't be worried about planting trees and thinking about the trees. You have to prepare the earth.
Okay.
You have to prepare the earth, the humus of the earth. Then anything can grow. Anything is free.
Yes.
There is a forest which is going to come. You
And
just
of course,
can't bring-
art as dissent, for example, and you've been a very vocal critic of the establishment, and you've spoken out against, for example, the Besharam Rang controversy. You stood in support of Deepika and the producers. So, do you see more and more of this happening, and what is it that artists must do to resist this kind of thing?
If an artist is silent, the society becomes silent. You need to raise your voice.
Yeah.
I mean, it is not that you belong to a party. See, you are neutral. See, art should be an eternal opposition party.
Yeah.
You understand?
Right.
An artist should be eternal opposition. Now, the person whom I am trying to put, if somebody else comes, I have to become an opposition party to that.
Yeah.
So it has to, right or wrong, but you will have to express yourself and you have to stand up. It is a conscience. And I stand up because, and I want this to happen, it is not because of me. Right. It is because I'm enriched with a theatre, with literature,
Right.
with the sort of people I've been. And I wish that, because when I came, I had that ambience here.
Yeah.
I had an ecosystem which enriched us.
Right.
We don't have that ecosystem.
So, yeah, that's something that we should build and we
it's
should
worrying.
nurture. And
It's
yes,
worrying.
Yes.
It's
yes.
worrying.
Yeah. My question we just have a couple of minutes more, and maybe we could take 2 audience questions at least. So you have been a prominent voice in the Me Too campaign, and you have named a big name. And how important is it, for women in the film industry, women in entertainment, to feel safe? I mean, does Bangalore give you this kind of feeling that it's a safe place to be in? And how do you look at this idea of dissent, of being safe, and doing theater that might be edgy?
Women anywhere should feel safe. Anywhere, irrespective of what they wear, irrespective of which space, irrespective of what time, they need to feel safe. It is I don't even want to call it a right. It has to be the norm. But it is not, sadly so. And the only way that we can change that as women is, one, is taking up more and more spaces. It's so important not to bring ourselves down. I think we are our own enemies most of the time. Doubt in our head creeps in very easily, much more than the other gender, I feel. So I think the first step for women themselves should be to claim more spaces. And secondly, raise your voice. Use art, use any form to say what you actually feel. I think that becomes very important. And what that will actually do is spur conversations which become important.
Right.
So the very fact that we talk about safety, harassment, abuse, not just from a legal purview, but even from a very societal behavioral form or behavioral manner becomes very imperative in today's conversations. So, yeah.
Right. So when it comes to dance, since you began your career as a dancer, again, the same question that I would ask Vijay. What happens to the classical arts when, corporate shows are all about fusion, and corporate support goes mostly towards things that have more entertainment, glitz, bling value, rather than artistic value. What happens then,
I think that's the problem with most of the art forms. I mean, not just dance or music or cinema. With everything, but in today's world, I can see a lot of us shift back towards our roots. Right. I can see the shift happening. So when you ask about classical dance forms, I think we have a place for everybody here. There are collectives, there are residencies. And I think Bangalore is heading in the space, in the direction where we're getting very encouraging about what is truly hails from Karnataka, be it the folk forms in Karnataka. It is getting a larger platform to showcase today, be it cinema, be it larger stages. Yeah. And the people carrying that forward become very, very important. So,
so I think you already answered part of the question. Any other comments about this dilemma that artists might face? In the sense that there are things which are very niche, and there are things which are preferred. For example, corporate shows tend to be about fusion rather than classical music.
Just last night, 6th, today's 7th. So last night I performed at NCPA, Mumbai, Jamshed Baba Theatre with Ustad Zakir Hussain ji. Yeah. It was, of course, a fusion show, but I presented Khanda Chapu Kirtana in Latangi Ragam. Okay. So it is up to the artist how he tries to keep what he knows. There's always a data information loss from the composer, like how Tyagaraja would have sung Nidhi Chala Sukhama in a certain way, but in 2021 there's a lot of information that has gone through, right? So there could be some data loss, but still put your effort to keep it alive, even though it's niche. Be honest, just keep singing what you've been taught, and whatever you can pass on to the next generation. And I think there's always a set of people that loves to listen to what you do.
Perhaps there are institutions that support artists who, right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and on that positive note, we'll take a couple of audience questions and then we can wrap up this session.
Thank you. Okay, since we are in DH Bengaluru 2040 Summit, since you guys are representing, I have one question. Like we had 80s, 90s, we had various artists, they were struggle periods, people faced challenges, they were succeeded. But if you compare today, if we have to see any industry for that matter, I'm not even talking about Sandalwood, I'm not even talking about Bollywood, where there is a, the new artist doesn't get a chance, they require a recommendation or nepotism, or for that matter, anything. In today's scenario, as we are speaking about Bangalore, so the youth of Bangalore who wants to get to the industry, will they get a fair chance? I know, it's a...
Who would like to take this question?
So, I was 19 and I discontinued engineering because I wanted to be a musician. So, getting into this field of art, culture, it's a dream world. So it's not about getting a chance, it's about following what you love. And I always tell this to people, being in the industry, you don't have a guaranteed job, but you have guaranteed joy because you're following your passion. So if joy matters to you, be here and enjoy the journey.
He got away saying that, no? He got away saying that.
No, thanks. That
Why?
answers. But then
Huh?
that answers. Basically, what we were seeing is like there are. I mean, we see on the social media where we see on the handles, we see many things. People are demotivated, not getting into the industry and all that stuff. Though we are trying to groom up Bangalore, right? We are seeing why we are looking at 2040 is that we have to see that if they, I mean, the youth who's coming up now and they want to get into the industry, if this is a forum, how they can represent themselves or how it is, if we can look into it. Like the agenda, what we are doing here is today is Bangalore's, India's next big entertainment hub we are setting up. So basis that if we can look at something like that, it will be great.
I'll quickly say one line before the other members say. So I judge one of the reality shows, and I can specifically talk about music, that's why. There's so many talent that comes out of that reality show, and I'm not exaggerating, at least 80% of those genuine talent are all busy doing shows. I can talk about Sanjeet Hegde, who came from Saregamapa. He's such a star, such an amazing artist. Not just Sanjeet, there's so many singers that have come from the reality shows are doing so well for themselves. So how strongly you follow your dreams really matters, sir. And I
think-
truly believe in that.
Yeah, I agree with Sir in that. I think chances are easy in today's era. It's about the persistence. It's about if you can keep doing it no matter what. I don't get paid. I don't know. It's a funny state that I'm in. I mean, we were talking about relevance. So it's just about not giving up. I think, yeah, it is that. And also, sir, just adding on one more line, I truly believe that much more than we, the 90s children, 80s kids had, I believe that today's kids and talent and the youth have social media to such a huge advantage. And I mean, if only they would use it in a manner that would benefit them and us and society. I don't know, yeah.
Right.
We do have room for quick couple of questions. Anyone else has a question? If you can raise your hand, please. Yes, please.
So you said that.
Can you use the microphone?
Can you hear me? Yeah, you said that Kannada cinema should not get carried away by this year, and you spoke about how the writing in Malayalam film industry is like the best. So, and you also said that Kannada film industry should not get carried away by the 2022 burst. So, can you give an example of what they're doing right, and how do we get more creators from smaller towns in Karnataka?
That's exactly when somebody asks, how do I get chance? I'm not able to answer because we can only say, pursue, chase your dreams. So what I'm looking at now, I want to announce something which I wanted to delay in some time. I was thinking for the last few months that what do I do? Being an actor, coming from theatre, and to have seen such a rich life and enriched myself, do I come back to theatre? So me coming back to theatre, starting a theatre group, would be to act a role. And I'm not desperate at this point of my career to say I'm a good actor. Let me be a little arrogant about it. So now I am starting an incubator called Nirdiganta, which is the expression of Kuvempu. Now this is starting in Mysore in my farm. I have decided to produce around 20 plays in the next 2 years in Karnataka. The funds, how I get it, because I may give ambulances, I may do something else, but to create the humus of this earth. So now we are curating to find 32 districts, which are the theatre groups which are performing. And we are asking them to give us the play they intend to do it, and we will produce it. Then have a theatre festival across Karnataka. They just have to come and do the theatre festival where I do, wherever Nirdiganta does. And Nirdiganta as a residential cultural center in Mysore, in Srirangapatna, in my farm. there will be a team because we see so many people from Rangayana, from Ninasam, from NSD who have come and they're jobless. They don't know what to do. Like there's so much of talent. So we are bringing in that and they will be going across to any school which accepts to have workshops during the summer workshops or going and requesting schools to give us 1 hour of classes and things like that, which will do it. At the same time, this will happen by November, and after that, we are bringing in all 5-6 states. We are bringing a National Film Theatre Festival, which is going to happen. Again, we'll be producing those plays. I know I can earn back because the whole joy of people coming to theatre and people who are so much of talent, I want to empower them and then have their wings to fly. I think these sort of activities should happen. It is not going to be a government repertory, so I start a repertory. Money is not that. I think money is the cheapest thing. The most beautiful thing we need is to get the humors up. And I'm so happy that there's so many people already. I've spoken to Jenny, I've spoken to Mandya Ramesh. Mandya Ramesh is a very great example. He has started a group called Natana.
Yes.
He was given a site for his Some Film Award. He didn't build his house first. He had a small site in Mysore. He built a theatre, a locality theatre, and he started doing workshops for the neighboring children. And I think that area is brimming now over the years.
Yes, yeah.
Now
I
there
heard
are
about
theatre
this,
classes
yes.
which is happening.
It's produced
That
many
whole locality,
actors
you see
and-
children coming and singing, playing. See, this is what I'm saying, building up the humor is.
Right.
And I'm able to answer questions like, so I want them to know what is their relevance to come into cinema. What do they have to carry? ಎಲ್ಲ ಕೇಳಲಿ ಎಂದು ನಾನು ಹಾಡುವುದಿಲ್ಲ ಹಾಡುವುದೇ ಅನಿವಾರ್ಯ ಕರ್ಮ ನನಗೆ. Shouldn't that be the state of mind? So this is what I'm trying to do, and I think it is an effort, and I'm very happy because I've also sat with in Kerala, my counterparts in Telangana, in Tamil Nadu, Kutupatre and things like that. I've been traveling a lot. Next 3-4 months, I will come up with this, but there is so much of energy, there's so much of people who want to do it, and I just to bring them into that space. Yeah.
Yeah, I think a huge round of applause for this initiative. I think it's going to produce more artists, more writers, and I think it's a great step in the direction of what you've been talking about. Yeah.
A final question, please. Yes, sir.
Prakash sir, can you see me? Sorry. I think you preempted my question in the previous answer that you gave to the gentleman. I was trying to come to the same point that you were trying to make. Many of us know that the Hindi film industry was a big, huge industry churning out blockbusters and big hits, thanks to the writing of people like Salim Javed and some other powerful writers who were able to create the angry young man image. But that didn't mean that there was no place for the other smaller but powerful voices in Hindi cinema. There was space for an Amol Palekar, there was space for a Sai Paranjape, there was space for a Nasiruddin Shah. There was space for a Farooq Sheikh. There was space for so many smaller directors to ply their craft and to be heard. They may not have been part of large blockbusters, but certainly they made meaningful cinema which was enjoyed by the middle class and appreciated. Unfortunately, in Karnataka, what I have seen by being a resident here for the last 25 years is that cinema seems to be in the hands of a few set of people who are now beginning to treat cinema and art as a business where ROI, numbers, investments, I put in so much of money, are we going to get so much of money? Can we create a film which is bigger than KG2? I am so glad that a Kantara came along and broke all the myths and misconceptions that, that unless you mount a large production, people are not going to watch it. So are you seeing a return to meaningful cinema? And can you also look at a situation where like what Robert Redford does with the Sundance Festival, where he tries to encourage young independent filmmakers so that their art and craft can also be seen. I'm very glad to know that you're encouraging theatre because theatre is the foundation and theatre has given us so many luminaries in cinema. So to cut I'm sorry I've been a little loquacious in my question, but it's all stemming from a certain angst at the fall in standards. And I'm so glad that you're doing something with theatre, sir. Definitely it should be made a part of curriculum. But can you see that young voices can get funded, they can be encouraged through some kind of a platform that you can create.
Was that a question? Yeah.
Yeah, it
Well,
needed a
as you
jump
had
cut.
Amol Palekas and things like that, when I say Kannada cinema also had its time. We had Rajkumarji, we had Gandhada Goodies,
We
and
had a
beautiful
Puttana
films.
Kanagal and yeah.
And nothing small and big. So somebody I asked one day, I was talking to this big director, Vishwanath. He says, what are you doing? I said, I'm doing a small film. I said, small film this much? Bigger film. Films are films. And it need not, I mean, it's budget and that many people see it, that's enough. You know, it's not that you don't have to look at the records and things like that. And you're talking about, is there hope? Was that a question you asked? No, no need of creating a hope. Let us unlearn. Let us realize. See, it's very easy to get away saying that I am doing this. And let me tell you, see, we have one single farm law for the country. I'm just giving you an example. You just can't decide that farmers has only one issue. A farmer next to a river has a different problem. A farmer who farms with one rain, looking at the rain and no other, so dry lands is a different issue. A different farmer's issue in Assam is different issues. So when you are trying to empower them or solve a problem, you will have to look into a lot of other factors, which are not as popular as it is, because you have to rebuild the whole thing. That's what I'm saying. Until and unless we try to enrich the minds through music, through literature, through life, it is, you're not preparing, it is not a laboratory to prepare actors or performers. No. It is a place to prepare perceptions, human minds. And that relevant thinking human mind will contribute in cinema, will contribute in music, will contribute as a father, will contribute as a leader, will contribute as a citizen of this country. That is what you have to look at.
Yeah, I think
We will have to look at it that way. Otherwise, saying cinema, chala chance togoltare. See, it should be a way of life. I don't know where it is a very large answer I have to give you. I have little time. But then probably more I talk about Nirdiganta and more you come, and there are a lot of minds and a lot of people who are going to come there and who are going to travel, like Nasiruddin Shah. A lot of people have decided. They are the faculty. They will travel around. They'll have classes. They will have talks. A weekend somewhere in Bangalore, somewhere in Mysore. It need not be theatre. It could be, I could be probably not being acting. I could be start reading stories, short stories, poetry. A lot of things will happen, and at those spaces we'll have these discussions, and together all of us need to do something. Yeah.
yeah, well, the good news is that, there are initiatives such as this one, and also on the other side, where you need the resources, the money to produce films. I think producers are upbeat. For example, Hombale Films has just announced that they're going to spend 3,000 crore over the next 5 years making films, Bangalore production house. So I think there's a lot to look forward to. And I think on that happy note, and maybe ask Vijay to sing 2 lines of Jai Ho so that we end this on an upbeat note. Yeah.
There's one thing that I wanted to actually convey through this discussion. Sure. And I'll take the opportunity, maybe, I can, because I think this platform will definitely reach out to all the authorities and corporates. ನನಗೆ ಒಬ್ಬ ಕನ್ನಡಿಗನಾಗಿ ವಿಶೇಷವಾಗಿ ಮೈಸೂರಲ್ಲಿ ಹುಟ್ಟಿ ಬೆಳೆದವನಾಗಿ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದಲ್ಲಿ ವಿಶೇಷವಾಗಿ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಒಳ್ಳೆ ವೆನ್ಯೂ ಬೇಕು ನನಗೆ. ಆ್ಯಸ್ ಅ ಸಿಂಗರ್, ಐ ರಿಯಲಿ ವಾಂಟ್ ಟು ಸಿ ಬ್ಯಾಂಗ್ಳೂರ್ ಹ್ಯಾವಿಂಗ್ a very state-of-the-art facility where I can have at least 2 to 3 theaters where we can have great artists come and perform. And I really hope somebody hears my request through this platform. And in the near future, Bangalore must have a good place of performance where we can have from music to dance to all kinds of performance. I think we really lack that in Bangalore. So talking about art and music and all that, but we don't have great venues. And there are a lot of hassles in terms of, for an organizer, there's no one window clearance. He has to run around to 10 different departments if he wants to do a show. So all those details, all those things have to be addressed. Maybe in the next seminar, we can probably address all those, but maybe if somebody can hear all these requests. And yes, on a positive note, I would love to sing 2 lines of Jai Ho. आजा आजा जिंदे शामी याने के तले आजा जरी वाले नीले आसमाने के तले. Come on everybody, 1, 2, 3. One more time. आजा आजा जिंदे शामी याने के तले आजा जरी वाले नीले आसमाने के तले. Thank you, Deccan Herald.
Thank
Jai
you
Ho.
so much. Thank you for this very engaging conversation, Prakash, Shruthi, and Vijay Prakash. Thank you so much for taking the time out to be here.